Well, we all know the industry's been going through a considerable amount of change in recent years, notably really in who it's communicating with. It used to always be the doctor as the key element of that communication. Now there's a whole array of stakeholders, and this conference is addressing some of the really complex issues that surround that activity. I mean, for example, what is the sort of independence of thought that should go into communications? Is it the role of the industry to be the provider of this, or should it be independent? And if so, why should the industry pay? And on what basis can it ensure that its expert message gets across to those individuals? And that's the kind of dialogue that we're having at this conference, and going forward will be even more important. One of the things we've been discussing, for example, is continuing medical education. Traditionally, 50% of that's been provided by the industry, and there are those voices which say it shouldn't be. It should be quite independent. But on what basis can we do that that would allow us to get the messages through on science, that will be creating an environment for our product base, and yet not be seen to be promotional activity? And I think that's going to be interesting to see whether we adopt an American approach of accrediting the individual providers, or we stay with the current European approach of actually assessing the quality of the information. Perhaps even more important, despite all that kind of effort, what is the real impact of that educational promotion activity to the actual practice of medicine? The other feature that's going to be really important going forward from this is the very complex area of use of social media. Twitters and all these things are part of the growing way that most people, especially younger people, communicate, whether they're professionals or otherwise. And yet the rules of that internationally are going to be very difficult to actually apply to sensitive areas where we're heavily regulated in what the industry can provide. And I think this conference is going to be the start of a dialogue that has to continue well beyond not just this meeting, but this year. Finally, the idea of having a legitimate involvement of the industry with the patient, with the physician, with the government, with the payer, with the insurance company, is one of the most complex areas. Why shouldn't people in the industry who have the most knowledge about their products be involved in communicating that information to those various groups? And yet there are voices around which says, well, that's always going to be biased. Well, I don't think so. I think we need to work on how we can work together to achieve that common end. Now, the venue for this conference is spectacular. This is a great seat of learning in Oxford University. This is a place in this particular venue where debates, very big debates, have taken place, so much about evolution and so on. So it's been very important to have that in this kind of environment, and with a really representative group of the medical communications industry. And I do hope that those of you who are involved in organising these events and organising the liaison between individuals will pick it up from here and organise more of these, because it's going to be very important for the industry going forward.